Hello, everyone. My name is Fernando Matsunaga, Innovation Manager of the Curitiba Connectory. Today, I'll be moderating the first International Connectory Global Talks. We are hosting our very first event with all connectories from all around the world. That's an exciting milestone for us, and therefore, I would like to thank you all for taking part in this event. We are planning further global talks and many other digital events in all locations, so stay tuned in our social medias and make part of our ecosystems. But first of all, what is the Connectory? The Connectory is a global network of innovation spaces promoted by Bosch in partnership with innovation hubs. It aims to co-create and to drive the development of innovative solutions and new business models in different IoT and artificial intelligence areas. The Connectory concept is based on three pillars: partnerships and co-creation, corporate projects, and educational experience. All the connectory locations around the world follows the same core concepts, but each one has its own unique features, focus areas, and local partners. The main goal of this network is to foster an innovation culture and the entrepreneurial mindset, sharing experiences and knowledge, bringing together startups, educational institutions, and companies. And what would be the topic of today if not the new challenges and changes that have taken part in our daily lives with the coronavirus? It has certainly changed our lives, and not only about stock prices or about changing values in company segments, such as Zoom, which platform we are using right now. It's a matter of fact that the situation has had a major impact in how we as society interact, do business, and care about each other. And although challenges are enormous and we have a critical situation regarding people's life and health, as every crisis, there is room for change and also for positive actions and outcomes in our community, be it for the unexpected digitalization of work and offices, creating events like this one, or new business model in times of social distancing. The fact is that nothing will remain unchanged. With this mix, today we'll be talking about how the local innovations ecosystems are reacting to the crisis mode. We will approach this topic in 6 different perspectives from Curitiba, Brazil, Chicago, USA, Guadalajara, Mexico, Stuttgart, Germany, London, United Kingdom, and also Shanghai, China. And to join me in this event, here's a brief agenda. We'll start with this brief introduction from my part. Then we'll go to the news around the globe, so the status, challenge, and actions from each connector location and their local community in these times. And in the end, we have 15 minutes for the questions of the audience, which I'll try to put in the middle of the event, but if not, we'll try to answer them by the end of this event. Okay, so going to the people that will join me on stage, here are some of the speakers. So from the Curitiba Connector, we have myself, Fernando Matsunaga, as the Innovation Manager and moderator of the event, Marco Knaben from our Curitiba Connector, Alberto Ibarran from Guadalajara Connector, then we have Fermin and Sue talking about from Chicago, Stefan talking from Stuttgart, and Walter and Hishi from London. And last but not least, Andrew talking from Shanghai. So be our guests. I hope you enjoy our event. And let's start then talking with Marco from Curitiba Connector. Hello, Marco. How are you doing? Could you explain a little bit how your ecosystem is reacting to the crisis?
Started as the need from Bosch in Curitiba to increase business and also increase co-innovation and partnerships with the ecosystem for our business here in commercial vehicles and off-road. And we did that a little bit different from the other connectory locations in a way that instead of becoming a hub, we partnered with a hub in Brazil, which is the Distrito hub, to open the hub here in Curitiba. So we are actually located within a startup hub in the city center of Curitiba. I think we have some nice pictures in the next slide. Yeah, so you can see here our space. I think from area, we are the smallest of them all, of all connectory locations. But we also have support from our partners from Distrito for events. And our space here is very flexible, so we can adapt it to hackathons and meetings and other kinds of events. And we can still make things go forward together here. Regarding, of course, the situation with the coronavirus in Brazil, we are in a difficult situation right now. And our location is closed so far, so we're in constant talk with our partner Distrito to see what would be the best way and to move forward, or constantly checking on that. But as Fernando already mentioned, that hasn't stopped us. We're going digital with everything we
Mm-hmm.
can and keep business going, and also finding out how can we still move forward in this new world. And I brought here some cases that I would love to share with you from our ecosystem in Brazil. And the first one relates to the Easter holiday. Is that in Brazil, we have this tradition that we give each other those large Easter eggs. They are almost 40 centimeters long. And here, and it's a big tradition that everybody buys that around Easter. And of course, we were starting the pandemic in Brazil in Easter, so everything closed. And Mondelez International, they have a manufacturing here in Curitiba, a production. So they own one of the leading chocolate brands in Brazil. And of course, for them, this was a very important holiday. They start producing that by the end of last year to start selling now. And when it all came down, their sales channel basically closed, like except from supermarkets, but shopping malls and many other stores closed. In a very quick reaction with our partner Distrito here, they basically created a new sales channel. So they created an app that anyone could become a reseller of those eggs. So you could also make some money by selling those products to your family. So it was a very interesting campaign. It worked out through São Paulo, and the products would be delivered through delivery apps and delivery startups that we have in Brazil. So it became quite a popular in the media here, and they could also make good financial results. Also, could have good results at the same time as helping the community. So it was a very interesting case and a very quick reaction. The second case comes from our industry federation. So we have the industry federation here in Paraná that is very active, and Bosch is also very active with the industry federation. They have the mission to represent the industry, but also with education and innovation. So they're a very important partner in our innovation ecosystem here. We've been working with them, and they have acceleration programs. And also, when it all came down, they partnered with the regional government, the government from Paraná, from our state, to invest a little bit, about 1.5 million reais in startups that could bring help to fighting the pandemic in 4 months. So they would assess and make this calling for startups that could change their products and help it in many different areas, either from preventing from ventilators uh, to masks and all of that. And one of those startups called High Technologies is a startup from Curitiba. So they've been active since 2017. They've been making this kind of exams, blood exams that you have on drugstore or you can have in hospitals and companies, that they take a sample from you and they digitalize the information and send it to the headquarters where they have a teams of doctors and specialists to analyze. And they were able to adapt their product also to make COVID-19 tests, and very quickly. So they are helping a lot in Brazil here, also making more exams and making it more popular. And so it was a very interesting reaction. And the last case I'd like to share with you, it's from Cubo. Cubo is the biggest Brazilian startup hub. They have more than 100 startups there. It's in São Paulo. It's from one of the Brazilian biggest banks called Itaú. And of course, like many other startups hub, they were very hit by the crisis. And unfortunately, many of those startups would have to let people go. And one of the startups actually started a shared document open to the public, like a Google Sheet document, in which they put all the contacts of the talents they had to let go to help them re-enter the market faster, so to reallocate faster. And that list actually went viral, and many other startups started adding to that list too. So this was a very good example. I think it's also a very interesting example that by simple actions, they can also help and try to help these people to get back to their jobs as soon as they can without really big investments. It's also about attitude. So those are the three examples I would like to share with you. So this is also a pretty picture of our location here. Please follow us on LinkedIn, basically, and other social media. And I'll be happy to hear you to be here to answer to all of your questions and also talk to you. So thank you. Back to you, Fernando.
Very nice, Marco. Nice to hear that even in those difficult times, we can find new ways of doing business, new ways of reacting, or even solidarity, even in times of maybe job losses. Some startups are still growing, like delivery startups and new business models. So it's very nice to see how people are helping each other on that time of crisis. Thank you very much. So continuing our talk right now, just to mention, Curitiba Connectory is right now closed. So physically, and every 15 days we are revising it. So stay tuned in our social medias to know when we'll be able to come back there. Of course, with all protection measures, we are looking very closely on the status of the situation here locally so that we can decide when to reopen. But talking a little bit further in our talk, so I'll move then to Stefan. Hello, Stefan. Na, wie geht's? Talking from Stuttgart.
Sehr gut.
How are you dealing with the space closed? Can you tell us a little bit more of your location? How are things going there during the pandemic?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Fernando. And thanks everybody for joining the event. My name is Stefan. I'm responsible for the Stuttgart Connectory, especially the outward-facing activities around co-innovation and co-creation, basically bringing the right formats, the right topics into the space and enable opportunities for Bosch and its innovative partners. So the Stuttgart Connectory, next page please. And Stuttgart Connectory is located in downtown Stuttgart, basically at the roots of Robert Bosch. And on this picture, you cannot really see that this is the Stuttgart Connectory, but today we even have post-it notes saying like a Bosch on the window. So as I said, the Stuttgart Connectory is in the first floor, and it is an inspiring space and place for Bosch colleagues. A great team around working on digital innovation and automation topics. At this point, we are not a co-working space with external permanent members in the space. However, we have nice workshop areas, as you can see on the bottom, for creative sessions, workshops on technology. Just to give an example, we had in the beginning of the year a workshop around AI and IoT, basically in the combination AIoT, and had some thought leaders from universities, from Bosch, from external parties, external companies in the space discussing the topic. And this also later led into the big announcement of one of the pillars of the digital transformation at Bosch, which is AIoT. And then we also have an auditorium, a great place for meetups, where we have established communities around AI, distributed ledger technology, new work, and so on, but also for internal topics, of course. And as you can see already on the slide here, that's a fun fact. 2 floors up from the Connectory, we have the Bosch historical showroom, where you can see like the first products of Robert Bosch. For example, this bike with a motor or some spark plugs that Bosch invented was one of the first products that Bosch had. And so you can basically experience the history and the future of Bosch within just one building. Looking at the situation in terms of Corona in Germany, we are slowly recovering. And on this map, you can see Germany. And the Stuttgart area is pretty good at this point. We have around 5 infections per 100,000 inhabitants over the last 7 days. And at this point, we are far away from a regional lockdown, which would happen with 50 new infections within 7 days. But still, the space was closed from mid-March until mid-May. And still today, we don't have public events in the space, but we're trying to reopen it in mid-June. Hopefully this will work out with all the safety measures in place. what did we do in the times when the Stuttgart Connectory was closed? Well, we used the opportunity and created virtual events, especially with one of our signature programs, the Bosch Startup Harbor, which is a program for early stage startups that get funding, mentoring, and get support in partnering with Bosch business units, but also with its partners. And we had, during these lockdown times, we had two virtual events with great mentoring and establishing connections. So we used the time really well, I would say. So what is happening outside also of the Connectory here in the Stuttgart area and in Germany in general for Bosch? Well, maybe you heard in the news, we ramped up the quick test, a COVID test that enables in a really quick time, like 2.5 hours, I think, to check from a blood sample whether there is an infection of corona. And this quick test was developed by Bosch Healthcare Solution, but also together with an external partner, Rendox Laboratories. And I think this perfectly shows the importance and also the power of co-innovation that is really relevant to bring speedy and needed solutions to the market soon. And on the right-hand side, you can see our CEO, Volkmar Denner, holding up one of the masks that we produce nearby in one of our biggest plants, in the Feuerbach plant, very close to the Stuttgart Connectory. And I think until today, we produce more than 500,000 masks per day. And Bosch is even making the factory design and layout plans available to other companies free of charge. So any company that wants to do mask production themselves is free to use this. And 100 of these masks per month go to the Stuttgart Connectory because we want to be a safe place for meetups and for upcoming events and for people to work in the space. And that's why I want to like to invite you to come to the Stuttgart Connectory. Next page, please. To join our events, maybe also just virtual ones for the next few weeks. And I'm especially proud that I can announce the next one coming up already. 9th of June is our Hey Future community, which will host its third virtual event around the leadership quest in the new now, with the aim to create a playbook for the leaders and spread it across organizations. So yeah, stay tuned and follow our LinkedIn channel to learn about the upcoming events. Thank you.
Very nice, Stefan, to hear that even with all the pandemic, we managed to do the digital meetings and business did not stop, even with the Startup Harbor, and that Bosch made this great effort of developing the rapid test in less than a month, and now also with the design of machinery for masks so that we don't overload the market that is needed also for health employees. Thank you very much to share the story. Stay tuned also in the LinkedIn from the Stuttgart Connectory. Okay, so moving on to Guadalajara, Mexico. Hola, Alberto, ¿qué tal?
Todo bien, ¿qué tal? Buenos días.
Buenos días. Are you on the line?
Thank you so much.
Talking about Mexico, how is Guadalajara Connectory helping move people safely on the city? Sorry, had some problems. I was changing from Spanish to English. So how is it going in the pandemic? Like, how are you helping people with moving the city and also those digital events from sudden digitalization? How are events going on there?
Yes, I mean we are getting better shape. Fortunately, in Mexico, Jalisco is one of the states with less, as well as Stuttgart, with less number of infected people, which is good. And so far, I have a good news also for all our audience that next June 1st we are reopening again the doors to receive and to welcome all the entrepreneurs and innovative people. But let me talk about the Guadalajara Connectory, and also for those that haven't heard about the Guadalajara Connectory, we are 2,000 square meters. purely technology and innovation around the site. We are placed in the most connected area in Guadalajara, just 400 meters away from the Minerva, which is a really representative icon in Guadalajara. In the next one, some nice picture of the site. In the next slide, so we are a community of entrepreneurs as well that explore the edges of the digital and IoT solutions. And what it is really making it unique, it is we are bringing the four helix. We're making the four helix together in the site. So we are bringing together the startups or entrepreneurs, the universities, academia, with what we have done, the many hackathons also with them. Government has requested some time before, and now it's as well, we have a close collaboration in terms of finding solutions, digital solutions for this pandemic. And also as well, we have huge partners and strong partners that recognize this innovative ecosystem in Jalisco, Guadalajara, and also are part of our members with like Samsung, 3M, Here Technologies, and so on.
Hello, Alberto. Are you still on the line?
So what we are glad in the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's back.
Thank you. So after 1 year and a half that we opened the Guadalajara Connectory, we are glad to receive this recognition by the MIT Lab that they were doing this assessment in the Guadalajara or in Jalisco ecosystem about the articular institution, the enabler institution, linkers, promoters, community, and so on. And we were recognized exactly where we wanted to be recognized as a key enabler for the innovative ecosystem in Jalisco. So this was a really huge achievement, and this is not only for our job and for the team job that we are here, that we are there. This is because we are together as an ecosystem enabling, and we are together all participating. So this was really good one achievement. And what we are doing nowadays with the government, and one of the success stories in the next slide, it is that the government in this panel, first of all, the entrepreneurs and the innovative ecosystem said at the beginning, when we were start facing the pandemic, we said no one aquí nadie truena. What it is in English, pretty much like no one close here, no one bankrupts here. So this just represented, it was really a huge movement, and all the social media you could recognize here, aquí nadie truena. So you were consuming from local people, from the small companies, from the startups and so on, all the services digitally, and also by delivery. But and as well, the government recognized all of this, and they sent this hackathon, and they said, hey, we are looking for ideas that can defeat the COVID-19. So it was a challenge. They said we have like 500,000 USD in funds to review and to get the digital solutions to combat or to defeat the COVID-19 in our state. So more than 8,000 projects or people submitted their project. Fortunately, and do also the great team that we have there, we submitted a mobility solution to transport all the people that it is related with the health system, to transport them safely to their health institutions, hospitals or health institutions. So with this, with some vans and some buses, we can specifically, based on the demand, based on the shift of these people, we can provide a solution to have an optimized route. The people can, or the persons can secure and can also park their seat, and also they will travel safely in these buses and vans. What is coming next? As I mentioned, we are finishing all the preparations to open again in June 1st, the Connectory. We have a soft launch. So we will have in our social media as well the webinars, trainings, and so on. So please follow us, and we look forward to reconnect again businesses, redesign the engagement, because all the members with all the members, keep discovering and validating ideas with our entrepreneurial ecosystem, and contribute to enable again. Or to be the enabler for the economy reactivation, as again in Mexico and pretty much in Jalisco. So together we move forward, together we salimos adelante, and please stay connected. Follow us in our social media channels. In the next slide, you will see there Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and stay connected. And let's reborn again, and let's make it great again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alberto. It was very nice to see how things are going there in Mexico, that even with all the crises, we have some hackathons, that we are helping people move safely on the city, and that we still have many events. And also right now that you are reopening the space, even with all the safety measures taking place. It's very nice to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So moving forward, going to London, that I've heard from Walter that the weather is very good in London right now. That's a good thing. Even in Curitiba, we have the same small talk about the weather. But then, hello, Walter and Hishi. Can you tell us a little bit more how the London Connectory is in the community is helping fight the COVID? Are you there on the line?
Hi, hello everyone. Hello from London. My name is Walter, and I'm an IoT and data enthusiast, and I'm the head of the London Connectory. So our space is based in the East London Tech City, which is an area of London where most accelerator and tech companies are also based, and we are really at the heart of it. And we have been there since March of 2019. And our mission is to improve the way people and goods move around cities by using data. So we are a co-innovation space that is really focused on urban mobility and urban mobility challenges and solving urban mobility challenges. And we are working at the London Connectory together with a community of 14 other startups and SMEs that work with us together on a number of projects. And as you can see in the background of my picture, we also have a very nice event space that we have been using, very regularly, obviously, before the COVID crisis, and that we will certainly, again, also use to gather and get people together, connect people across the mobility ecosystem in London and beyond. And what I wanted to mention today is basically two trends that I've been observing as a reaction to this crisis. So one trend is that our startups that are working in different areas of the mobility sector have been using and adapting their solutions to address the new challenges of mobility that are brought about by the COVID crisis and the pandemic. And the second topic is how can you use technology to actually make co-working in a space like the Connectory safer? And that second topic, for that, Richie will tell you more about it. And for the first one, I would like to just mention a few examples of startups in our space and how they have been adapting that technology to solve current challenges. And the first one is Travel AI. Travel AI is a software company. They developed a solution that is as an SDK, a software solution that can be integrated into smartphone apps and allows to derive insights from the mobility behavior of people. And this can be used by either companies, for example, to create transparency over the carbon footprint of employees moving around, or also it can be used by cities to improve the understanding of how people are actually using public spaces. And they have now used this technology to actually support contact tracing activities. So as you know, worldwide, there are different apps that are being rolled out that shall enable to retrospectively trace back potential contacts between people and one person that is infected with the virus. And the solution provided by Travel AI can basically support with the historical mobility behavior and the contact tracing there. So that's the first example. And then we have another example which instead has to do with computer vision. So D-Risk is a startup that has developed a technology to actually assess and test artificial intelligence software that is embedded in autonomous vehicles. And these computer vision capabilities from D-Risk were actually now used to solve a different problem, which is the one to recognize the way social distancing guidelines are being observed in public spaces and in cities. And what you can see here on the picture is an analysis they did based on the installed camera infrastructure in London. And you can see that this analysis allows the city operators and public bodies to recognize where are particularly challenging regions and where should measures being taken to better manage the flow of pedestrians, for example, in a certain area of the city. And then I will give you another example which has to do with data. Now that cities are exiting or are coming out of lockdown situations, different decisions need to be taken as to when and how to actually lift these lockdown restrictions. You can see a picture here of London during lockdown. It was very, very empty here, and now things are changing. And due to the very high dynamic of these changes, it is very important to take decisions based on data. And Cordant is providing a solution that is a live data sharing platform and really allows basically to take informed decisions based on the live data that is being shared across different systems and across different verticals. And the last example is a company which is called BlueZoom. BlueZoom has developed a platform for a software platform for bike sharing and scooter sharing solutions, and is also operating its own solution in London. And BlueZoom obviously has seen a strong demand in active travel, and as well as e-scooter mobility in London as a reaction, let's say, to the risk, the perceived risk of using public transport infrastructure and the tube. And they have now offered a solution, their solution to NHS workers that they can use it for free during the pandemic. So these are 3 examples out of our ecosystem. And as I said, mobility is changing, but not only that, also our own co-working and co-innovation is changing. And in order to allow us to come back to the Connectory and work safely, we have to implement technology. And for this, I'd like to hand over to Rishi, who is going to say a few words about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Walter. Hi, everybody. So my name is Rishi. I'm co-founder of Incube, and we've been supporting the London Connectory over the past 18 months on the design, technology, and operations of the space. So pre-lockdown, we designed with collaboration and serendipity in mind. Post-lockdown, we're designing with social distancing in mind. So we're able to leverage technology and some less high-tech ways to ensure people feel comfortable and safe to return to the office. So I'll briefly run through these. When it comes to operations, capacity and density has been reduced to increase proximity between members. Hygiene stations have been added to high-touch areas, and a one-way system has been implemented to reduce possible physical interactions. When it comes to technology, the goal for the technology, on the next slide, is to reduce touchless surfaces, reduce those physical interactions, and support those social distancing efforts. So if we go to the next slide for context, at the London Connectory, we developed Connectory OS. So this is made up of a centralized facilities dashboard with control functions and insights aggregated from a range of smart office IoT devices. This also powers a members app, which amongst other things allows you to view available seats in the office. So such as hot desks, you can choose your seat before coming in, and also get an idea of how busy the office might be on any given day. So some of the existing technologies in the London Connectory can be used to support these objectives. So here, for example, in the meeting rooms, we can reduce touch using wireless presenting technology. So we have AirTame, Miracast, ScreenCloud, but there's lots of options that can reduce the need to touch cables and remotes. We also have Samsung smart TVs, which we can look into integrating the kind of control functions into Connectory OS and further reduce touch of remotes. In the kitchen, we have Bosch Home Connect enabled dishwashers, Again, this gives us some element of non-touch with the ability to remote start. In the event space, with the addition of a couple of simple and affordable smart devices, we can control the projector, turning it on and off and streaming without the need to touch any other device except for your own. On the next slide, we have door access, which automatically unlocks when you're in proximity, thanks to Bluetooth on your phone, and reduces the need to touch the reader. We also have the ability to anonymously monitor social distancing, but this is compatible through any IP camera. In the London Connectory, we use Bosch's IP5000s, which we can additionally use to anonymously monitor how the space is being used and if social distancing measures are working. So that's similar to what de-risk are doing in cities, as Walter mentioned. So this helps us identify any potential pinch points or hotspots where social distancing is not working and allows us to make those necessary adjustments. So looking at the future, cubes is something we've been working on over the past year to bring flexibility to the built environment. So think of it as an out-of-the-box smart office. You can build up and activate modular workspaces in a matter of hours, monitor the space utilization via the inbuilt IoT sensors, and then reconfigure your office as demands and requirements change. So, for instance, here at London Connectory, social distancing requirements have meant that we've reduced capacity by half. So we have to look at ways we can safely accommodate members when they return. Cubes allow us to activate underutilized areas, such as breakout spaces. In phase one, pre-opening, on the next slide, we're adding an extra office to extend capacity and help accommodate those existing private office members with enough safe space so they can return and feel comfortable in the office. If we go to the next slide, this is looking at phases 2 and 3, where we can integrate desk add-ons to the Cube smart panels and provide safe seating, allowing for a protective barrier and more people to be seated safely in less space. So finally, just a quick little look at some of the trends that we've seen as we've spoken with sort of landlords and tenants in the industry over the past couple of months. We are certainly even more confident that flexibility in the built environment is the future. A lot of the other trends have been acceleration of shifts that we've already been seeing happening in the space. So for instance, occupiers want more control and transparency about the working environment. Landlords and facilities want better sharing of data between the building's demise and the tenant's demise. We're also seeing technology adoption become a top budget priority. And then finally, a couple cool areas kind of in the cleaning space. So as increased cleaning requirements have come in, it's quite labor intensive and expensive and to be sustainable long term. So we're seeing a lot of robotic solutions and self-cleaning, antimicrobial coatings and lighting solutions taking off. So some cool things happening in this space for sure. So that's all from me. I'll pass back over to you, Fernando.
And maybe just to one last statement. So we also have a pipeline of virtual events coming up. So please do follow us on our LinkedIn channel. And we are also very happy, obviously, to be part of this global network. And we will have more of these virtual events coming up soon. So thank you. And,
thank you, Walter.
Back to
thank
Chicago.
Yeah, thank you, Walter Hishi. I thought there was a slide of the social medias, but of course you can find with London Connectory there in LinkedIn, also Twitter and other medias. Just input there. Connectory is our own brand, so it should be pretty easy to find. It's very nice. I will give a question by the end of the event, but there was a question from Alina about mobility sector. Most probably London Connector will be the place to answer that. We'll do that in the question phase, but of course you can also follow their media to have the contacts. And it's also important because Walter already mentioned some types of mobility already in his speech. No? Thank you very much, Walter Hishi. So we have a very protected and technological connector in helping people protect each other. We have very nice cases of startups doing what they can to to fight back COVID, and also using already technology that existed. That was very nice that you've spoken that, for example, technology for cameras and also technology for autonomous driving can be used to help fighting back the COVID. So very nice examples from your side. Thank you very much. So moving on to Chicago now. Now we have Fermin and also Sue from Chicago Connectory talking directly from the US. We are honored to have you here since you are the first connector in our hub. So really,
thank you.
Most of times being our reference there. Thank you for supporting us on this journey. So could you tell us a little bit more, Fermin, Sue, how you're conducting things?
Of course, Fernando. Thank you for that. And yes, I was going to say that, but yeah, we were the first ones. And it takes courage to be the first ones, but it takes also a lot of learnings that we're very happy to pass on to you guys, and to also learn from all of you. As like Walter mentioned, we had our first joint event yesterday, and it was really great to see our ecosystems getting close together. So my name is Fermin. I'm the head of the Chicago Connectory, and I'm very happy to be joined by Sue, our head of corporate partnerships and programming. So if you go to the next slide, Fernando, please. So yes, we are 3 years old. So yeah, it feels like a long time, but we have been extremely busy during these years. And I love this image that the marketing team put together, because it really shows what makes the Connectory what it is, right? Which is people collaborating, people in events, people exchanging ideas. And now with the crisis, of course, it makes this very particularly difficult for the things that we do. But I don't want to get very sad already starting the presentation. So I want to talk about some of the good things that we have done during these 3 years, so you get an impression on what's going on. Like many other Connectory locations, we are located in the heart of the city. We are in downtown Chicago, in a very nice location, and we had a lot of traffic with visitors, many events, many tours. We have a few mentors, many of them from the Bosch units, many of them are externals, and we have quite a few members. So we are focused on this co-creation like many other Connectory locations. We also we take pride to say we are a place where you can get educated in new technologies, particularly in IoT. Chicago is a very diverse city. There's not a single industry in Chicago that takes more than 20% of the GDP of the economy, which for IoT, it makes it a very, very good location to co-create across domains. So if you go to the next slide. So that's that's the reason why when we had the idea to open the Connectory, we set as a precedent that we wanted to partner with a local company or local organization that already had the connections established with the other entrepreneurs in the area. So we partnered with 1871, is the largest incubator in the Midwest of the United States. And together with them and other key collaborators that we have on the right side of the slide, we have made a lot of events and activities. So if you go to the next slide, Fernando, please. So how do we connect communities, people, and technology? So if you go to the next, you will see, first of all, is a co-working area, like we all said. As you can see, you see people concentrated, not so much talking to each other, right? But concentrated in their work, which is also an important part of innovation. Being able to concentrate and to work on things and have resources necessary. In the back part of the slide, you see our IoT lab. So we need to have these resources for entrepreneurs to also work on the hardware part, which is a very hard thing to do for IoT. Software, you can change from one day to the other. Hardware, not so easy, right? So it's very important that we have that aspect as well covered. And then events, of course. So mobility is interestingly like London and in other Connectory locations like Mexico. Mobility, being in the central part of the city, is very in the minds of people when they come to the space. And many of our companies, including the Bosch business unit that is focused on mobility, they are present And together with them, we made a very large event around mobility with a lot of attendees and speakers. But very importantly, it was focusing on the problems and having the right discussions to come with ideas for solutions. So this is an example of one of these formats that we use to get into the heart of problems. So now with the crisis, what can we do, right, to keep this moving? Because we have been closed for 2 months. So we said, what can we still do virtually for our members and the ecosystems? And we said, okay, mentoring, we need to step it up. So now we have about 30 mentors available for the Connectory members, not only in Chicago, but all over the world. And also, and all of this can happen virtually, and as well, workshops and education. So we have had a lot of virtual events that were planned to be in person, and now we do it virtually, and we extended to the whole network. So many of you guys have been promoting these events, and you have participated in them. Thank you for that. We are reaching more and more people even in these virtual times. So let's go to the next one. So and at this point, I would like to pass it on to Sue. Sue will talk more about some of the other programs and offerings that we give, but we are excited to think about reopening. As you know, the United States was very, very badly hit by the crisis and the virus. So we need to be very, very cautious and taking all the measures to reopen the space. And we're going to do this we're working on in June to make sure the space is ready so that we are back open for visitors and physical activities in July. But more of that, so I will have Sue talk about more offerings and some of the success stories and hero stories from our side to combat the virus. So go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, thanks for passing on, Fermin. Hey guys, thanks everybody for joining. My name is Sue and I'm part of the Global Innovation Strategy team, but also here locally in Chicago, looking at response on driving the co-innovation efforts, which Chicago is a very unique ecosystem for, and we have so many different locations here and each has its strengths. And I'm pretty excited to share some of the hero stories and what has been going on in Chicago. So even already before the crisis started, we are looking in different co-innovation approaches in Chicago with universities, civic partners, corporations, and startups. And in the Chicago Connectory, we have a great mix of members of all of those and are therefore able to really bring them close together to collaborate. Like we have soft landing programs where startups come temporarily from other countries, even here to Chicago. We do startup matching and scouting that come in and pitch and then collaborate for specific problems for our partners or also for Bosch. And some of the examples I'm going to share with you guys. One that Fermin already referred to, we have a great lab actually in the Connectory where you can also prototype and test the different hardware components that are needed to make IoT products happen. And it's in partnership with Windy City Labs. And you can see here on the picture some laser cutters and 3D printers from Dremel. And our laser cutters and printers have been going on a mission the last couple of months since COVID and everything has been shutting down. These printers have actually been joining a larger effort. It's one of the hero stories locally I'm excited to share. You can go to the next slide. So we, in the collaboration, and that's one of the great insights of like how ecosystems work and how the collaboration really happens, is through the Paul universities, one of the universities Bosch and Connectory have a long-term partnership with. Then Bosch Power Tools, or particular Dremel, and the Chicago Connectory University in engagement came together early on and like through network and personal contact said, okay, what can we do? What's really needed to make sure first responders, hospitals have the PTA, or especially in this part, face shields to respond to the crisis firsthand. So our printers joined in total 150 other Dremel 3D printers and laser cutters, and in a cross-functional team executed impressively to get face masks to first responders. And actually the number has been a little bit higher. I got some updates just really freshly this morning. It's actually 24,000 face shields that have been printed, and I think over 70 hospitals of first responders and fire departments have been supported, and we have delivered these face shields. And this is really just one of the many efforts. Oh, here we are. Those are updated numbers. It's one of the first efforts that have gone on in the ecosystem among many others. And on the next slide, you'll see a kind of used, this is a kind of American phrase, when going gets tough, the tough gets going. And that's really what I love about Chicago and its ecosystem. Everybody has immediately come really closely together. We have I think we have over 120 co-working spaces or innovation spaces here. But we had several of them really stepping up, including our main partner, 1871, joined efforts to do a call for open challenges, where immediately many problems were addressed and collected what's needed to bring COVID needs forward, and especially help our hospitals and nurses. So out of this were over 19 challenges collected and solutions found. And this is a great effort among the different ecosystem players to then bring the right startups together and look how can we either connect them with people that have the right material or can get help the right material sourcing, or experts in engineering to get them pivot what their current model is and then drive forward the efforts. One of the examples I really like here is a local startup that's part of 1871. It's called Dokat. They have robots that they now also refunctioning for the COVID needs, and they do disinfection very fast of large spaces with UVC disinfection robots that actually come with UV lighting. So those are one of the many startups in the local ecosystem that have come together to drive this forward. And just recently, another great story of the ecosystem I want to join is that they have raised $1.55 million in funding to really support and finance the local startups that are moving forward for the COVID activities. And now I am excited to pass it on over the ocean, all the way over to Shanghai, where it's already quite a little bit later.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Ferming. Very nice to hear from our biggest connectory, the oldest one, now 3 years old. Very, very experienced helping people with the accessories or equipment we already have there, and also with the technologies. And now moving to the last but not least, a member, the Shanghai, joining us on the evening. Welcome, Andrew. Take on the stage. And could you tell us a little bit more how China, that has already faced the challenge of the COVID, the first one to face lockdowns, and now how are you coming back to business? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you, Fernando. As you can see on the background, the other side of the ocean is already in the night. So from China, I think we were first hit by the coronavirus. And for a nation with 1.4 billion people, it is quite a challenge. And we did suffer a lot, but eventually we went through it. I think it's a very good example to show defeat. We are able to defeat the virus. And next slide, please. And I think the most important thing how we succeeded in this way is that people help each other. As you can see, Bosch has been in China already for over 100 years, and social responsibility is always one of our core values. The Chinese people, including the people from overseas, when China started, they tried really hard to help us. They sent medical equipment, and they help us to find a lot of resource and the logistic measures. And here you can see in China, Bosch on total over donated around 5 million CNY to support the virus. One of the most remarkable example I want to show here is on the right hand side. I think people may know that in China we did a remarkable work to develop to build a hospital in 10 days. And actually, Bosch has the honor to contribute to this task. Our power tool division, they donated a lot of power tools to help the construction site to speed up the development of the hospital. The reason I pointed this out is normally, for us as a enterprise, we not only supply the technologies, but we also supply a lot of other like home appliances from Bosch home appliances division, and also the medical equipment from other divisions. And from China, we think only when the people united together and help each other, that's the only way that we can overcome any challenge. So go to the next page, please. A quick overview about the Shanghai Connectory. Shanghai Connectory is still relatively new. We started in April last year and with our partner, Caohejin High Tech Park. And our partner actually provides a very rich innovation ecosystem. As you can see on the left side, this is basically a highlight. In this high tech park, we have run about 130 multinational R&D center, innovation centers located there. Have Cisco and Johnson Johnson, Microsoft, Google, and also a lot of local giants like Tencent and ByteDance, SenseTime. In addition to that, this high-tech park also provided a very rich startup and tech companies. We have around about 3,500 tech companies located there. And that's one of the reasons why we select this location and partner with Caohejin, because we can help not only the startup to jointly win the success, and we can also learn from the other startups and other corporates to bring the innovation into a real success in the business. So talk about the location. Shanghai Connectory is in this building in the middle, as you can see. So this is a 3-story building, which was renovated in 2017, designed by a Denmark architect, and also was nominated as the Building of the Year by ArcDaily. And inside this building, actually, there are 3 floors. It's a lofted design, and the people can move freely across different floors. On the right-hand side, it's an illustration about what are the functions in this building. On the bottom, actually, this is mainly for the external startups. They are located there. And on the second floor, it's part of the Bosch Training Center and also part of the Bosch corporate projects. So in this whole building, we actually run parallel multiple innovation-related programs. For the training center, we run also the HR lab, which develop a lot of prototypes for the human resource and digital transformation related tools for the Bosch to use for the internal agile transformation team. And for the external startup, we have the program called Open Bosch, which is backed by Bosch Venture Capital, IBVC, to basically to do the matchmaking and co-creation between the Bosch internal division and also the external startups. And then for the Bosch corporate projects, there's a global network called Grow. Can you go back to the slide? Yes. This is also a global network which we allowed our own employees to bring their innovative idea and found their own project teams, eventually develop their own business. So in total in this building, we have roughly 10 external startups and also 6 internal startups located there, around about 150 people. And this Caohejin area, we are more focused on the business scope of the consumer IoT, smart construction, and industry 4.0. And in addition to the startup, which is already in incubation, we also run accelerator in collaboration with Berkeley University. And currently we have 4 internal startup teams. They are running in the accelerator. And hopefully some of them will be joining the incubation later. So for more details, you can check the website, and also you can scan the QR code on my background to visit us. Next slide, please. Then talk more about how China has gone through, and Shanghai Connectory also be part of the challenge. The current status for Shanghai Connectory is we almost return to normal business. But when we closed down for the Chinese New Year, that was exactly the time when the virus outbreak took place. And then the government basically locked down the entire nation. And for Shanghai Connectory, we continue to lock until in March. And in March, we gradually opened the space, but with a lot of safety measures, including the registration of the visitors and the body temperature check, and also the access control. And then at the first week of May, basically we now downgrade further from the security level 2 to level 3. So people no longer required to wear the masks, and they can also access the site freely. And so the status of the Connectory right now is pretty, as you can see from the right-hand side of the picture, which was taken in the recent time, is pretty normal already. And currently, we are still running a lot of programs in the for the training and also for the acceleration in the site. Next slide, please. And for this rich ecosystem, I want to share one case, which is one startup from our ecosystem as a hero story. This startup called Magnity. They are specialized in develop and produce the intelligent thermal imager to check the body temperature. And when the pandemic started, they although the entire nation is locked down, but their company resumed back to work and to produce a lot of thermal temperature imager measurement device. And they supplied over 5,000 units to the country. And they also donated many devices to the hospitals and schools. So their technology is cutting edge. So their accuracy is plus and minus 0.4 Celsius for the human body temperature measurement. And their technology also does not require any black body for benchmarking. So they can, in the outdoor, they can measure the temperature very accurately. And they are also capable to measure the body temperature simultaneously for multiple people, up to like 20 people, as you can see on the screen. And also they can set automatically alarm if they detect some people carrying the fevers. And their application is widely applied during the coronavirus across multiple public areas like the railway station, the metro, airport, and the schools and hospitals. And they also develop a low-cost measurement module, which can be also equipped in other surveillance cameras. So right now, Bosch also is working with them to analyze whether we can integrate their solution for our solution into the public security sectors. So that's it, what I want to share today. I think as our slogan, invented for life, life is the most important thing. And I think when we have the Connectory connecting people together and also leverage the strengths and capabilities, we can amplify our power to help the people to live better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Very nice to hear news from China, how the Connectory is already operating now in the new normal after the post-COVID, and also now with detection, with technology. Also starting right now, we have some more 20 minutes, which we have left on purpose for questions. Now, already with you, Andrew, you have shown a lot of examples, like technological examples, and there's a question here from Irving on how China is reducing to almost zero the contamination nowadays. I think you have shown a lot of examples, but could you say some other words of what you think was really important to manage to get to the good situation China is right now, besides only technology, or other hints you would give?
I think not only the technology, but also the people, how they deal with this challenge. In China, the most important thing is that we are united to combat with the virus. So the people are not basically push away the people who is carrying the disease or they're infected. Actually, we are a big family. So what we have done is basically we help each other. For example, when the virus first started in Wuhan province, and all the entire country, so each province, they are assigned to help one city of Wuhan. So only with this common goal and united all the people that we can conquer this virus. And on the other side, also the technology, I still want to mention the technology is very important, especially the connectivity technology. So for example, for the people who visit the sensitive area, basically we use the mobile phone to track their location. And then the people can show their ID based on their previous, location, whether they are free of the risk, or they are intermediate risk or high risk. And when the people moving around, they always need to carry this message, and it's updated constantly. And then another thing is, I think China did very well, is not really a technology, it's a very traditional technology, is wearing masks. Because at the beginning, people always think the mask cannot really protect you. But because of this virus, a lot of people, they are carrying disease, but without any symptom. So for the people, if everyone wearing the mask, even if you're carrying the disease, you can protect the people around you. So this is something China did very well, have everybody carrying the masks, so that we are not spreading further the virus.
Okay, very,
Did
very
I
nice.
answer the question?
Yeah, I think, of course, you had already answered with most of these slides, but since it was a very direct questions, I think it contributed a lot more. If everyone from the persons that are presenting could also put your cameras, because now I'll give some questions from the audience, so that maybe we can together direct for some answers here. So here from Valdinei Santana, also in the Q&A section, the question is, have you encountered challenges related to intellectual property, IP? How did they solve it? How did we solve it? No? So if anyone wants to talk a little bit about the intellectual property.
So this is Alberto. Yes, I can start with this. Everything depends on how to engage. I can tell you, and all of you know that one of the Bosch values is always honesty, and doing the business and approaching to the and giving to the community. So that is the first. Those are, let's say, like the guidelines that we have always for the businesses. And the second one, for sure, at least what we have done it is, whenever we go for, or whenever we host a hackathon, always it's clear how are we going to manage the IP in terms of the reward, or the prices are compensating this IP, or most of the cases, what we are doing it is we are invited, or we are also hiring the winners to keep developing the solution within Bosch. And nevertheless, also we have some examples of this co-creation topic, whenever we set the basis for the development, and also for the commercialization of the solution and so on. So this is something, we have many scenarios. There's no one solution that fits for all the opportunities and so on. But as well, first of all, this is honesty that the community will find in the Connectory, and second, very clear rules for engagement. And regarding the IP, for sure you will find it. And we have a strong also as well legal team that is always supporting us in the best scenarios, and supporting our partners or whomever we are engaging for this co-creation and co-development.
So this is Walter. I think I would like to maybe add a comment or a specific example about this problem. So as I said, our mission is to use data and to share data across different company boundaries to solve problems and specifically mobility challenges. And in order to basically take away the barrier of the IP that is attached to data sets that are exchanged in co-creation programs, we have actually been working together with our partner Quadrant. And we can handle this in a very nice automatic way by using, let's say, data sharing marketplace solutions, where every provider of a data set that is used by someone else for a co-creation project can define license agreements that are attached to the usage of this data. And then the provider is always in full control of who is using the data, to what extent, and under which conditions.
Okay,
Very nice. Sue, yeah, if you want to add, of course.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit on. When we work co-create, for example, with startups, there's like different stages for it. So many first discussions can actually start often with an NDA. For example, in the boot camp that we're doing, where we are looking into finding joint partnerships for go-to-market strategies, or sometimes also POCs. We run in rather smaller amount IP issues into it, where we would really have to go into the details where it comes to saying, okay, we need insights in their IP, or it's an IP sharing, or a really like co-development contract. So there's a different level of contract. Other than that, often through easy vendor relationship, first activities already can start. So it has really multiple stages. We basically have kind of like a checklist and knowing, okay, what's the first amount of engagement the first 3 months, half year or a year, and then figuring out what type of agreement or IP challenges we might run into.
Yeah, actually, that's a very important topic, because usually when you talk about corporates dealing with startups, if you don't get it right from intellectual property from the beginning, it can be a problem. But of course, it cannot also be a problem right at the beginning, in a way that you cannot go further with some ideations. No? So that's a real challenge. You can count on us if you have any doubts or also cases, because usually the best way to do that is, of course, talking to legal departments together with other people and use cases that were already successful. So most of cases, we already have some formats to talk, to make such events like hackathons, and of course with NDAs and such other tools that we can use. But of course, it's something that it has to be put in a balance. As a corporate, we've learned through times, talking a little bit for Curitiba, that if you start already with IP so too hard on the beginning, and then maybe you have problems even to start the ideation. So that's why you have to be protected. Of course, it has to be a win-win situation with the startup, but it comes out a little bit from experience and tools that we already have. So it's something that communications is still the way to go there, at least for what I have as experience here. So all the events that we held, we contact legal departments, we contact colleagues that already did similar stuff, and it all worked out with no problems. We have not faced these last years that we have been doing co-innovation together with other companies any problem regarding that. No? Okay, so moving to the next questions, we have more questions here. So the first one is from Alina, that I've already mentioned. She did that specifically talking about mobility. So the question is, the mobility sector has been heavily impacted. What new mobility solutions get in spotlight as a result of the pandemics? I think that maybe London can also help us better answering, since the focus in mobility is very strong there. Walter, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So yes, I think one trend that is very evident here in London, but that can be seen in other European cities, and I think also beyond Europe, is the strong increase of active travel in metropolitan areas. And there are statistics that show that the number of kilometers on bicycles have increased more than tenfold during the pandemic. So, and the city has also released plans to invest massively in the infrastructure and the cycling highways infrastructure and network, specifically in London. And definitely bike sharing, e-scooter sharing, and also use of personal bikes and scooters have increased significantly. And it is to be expected that in the new normal, there will be a new balance between the active travel modes and the traditional ones, mass public transport and individual transport. So I would be interested, though, to hear comments maybe from the other regions, from China and from Latin America.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Go on, Marco. Go on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Here we are still coming out of all the lockdown situation we've been having. So we have seen an increased use also of public space for transportation, but we haven't really noticed any strong trend, as many cities are still under lockdown. So the public transportation is reduced and it's affecting a lot. But I think the changes will be similar to what's happening to you there. So we can expect that to develop here as well.
I think for Chicago, Chicago has done a lot over the last years to actually build out bike lines. And we have also, I know they want to widen the areas where e-scooter sharing is permitted. So far, it's just been a pilot area. But we can, just if I talk to my local bike store, I can say that they're very busy. So there's a lot of more biking going on here than before. And I know people look into this moving forward. We are still in a stay-at-home order. Another reason why people also avoid public transportation, but the trend will look similar to what London described.
Very nice. Any other location would like to add a little bit about mobility trends or changes significantly?
So Alberto Diaz, as I mentioned also in the presentation, so we have obviously challenges in terms of mobility. We have developed some solutions in terms of pooling with the respective restrictions. We have also a couple of startups working in terms of the public transportation, also solutions to also share, or in terms of crowdsourcing, start sharing the insights of the different routes and so on, like Subete and so on. So as well, this is something that it is impacting us. We are collaborating with the many startups in these fields, and as well in Mexico, for example, one of the main topics it is for the companies and for the manufacturing sites, providing this corporate transportation to their associates or to their workers. This is something that we are working on, and really soon you will see also the solution that we are proposing on this.
There's also an interesting trend that I've read, but it's not something proven, that maybe the pandemic will also change a little bit of the trend, because at least in Brazil, we were seeing that people were starting to consider a lot more not having a car and buying and just using apps to move, or public transportations, or mainly apps like Uber, or we have 99 taxis and 99 pop. That's some apps that we use here to move through the town. But now with the COVID, this trend is changing. Actually, people are feeling safer to have their own car, and that could influence also about selling cars, regarding using apps or selling cars for ownership. And let's also see how the shifts of powertrain does also go forward, something that's not very clear since we are in the middle of the pandemic. But let's see, it's a very good debate that we could also have in later in further events. We have two last questions to finish the event, since our time is also running out. We still have 7 minutes to go. The two ones here is from André Bacelar. It's our partner here in Mondelez as well, that he's asking how to measure the monitor results from the connectors. Are there KPIs to provide visibility, and how do you measure the innovation initiatives? Thanks in advance. I think we have seen a lot in the slides, some shown some KPIs, but does anyone want to say a little bit more how to track innovation initiatives like the connectors?
I'll take that one, Fernando. So we have the KPI is a very important one, and there's multiple ways on doing that. There's tangible ways where you say, okay, this is a really clearly traced or a project or a fact that comes out, and there's a lot of intangible KPIs. We really want to look into measuring both. So I'd say there's a mix of both, that's tangible, intangible, things like awareness, visibility, and like what is the impact into the ecosystem. Alberto did a really great example on that one, and how they have been recognized for it, and just understanding the core idea of building up ecosystems, and that these connections and being a player in that ecosystem is at the core of what we do, and is the base of coming out with any type of other results. The Connectory is not per se like a lab or like a developer team that has as its main focus or core only focus to bring out innovation project results. But we trace, for example, the context that we make that then lead into co-innovation projects, either through introductions or projects like when we put out challenges that then we targeted startups apply to, or other innovators apply to, and look into, okay, what are then the results traced on that these projects move forward or come out of it. And so that's a little bit of the two directions to go. Other things we're tracking is like mentoring hours, how many people are visiting, social media tracking. Each of these social media channels has a significant muscle and the reach that we're having through the activities and what it means to drive co-innovation and IoT forward in that. So that's kind of from a global view or overall. And then each connectory has a little bit of different tracking measurements that are very much tailored towards the ecosystem and core partners that they're working with. I hope that's helpful.
Anyone else want to add something here?
Yeah, I think just like Sue mentioned, so here we also track the amount of co-creation projects we have, and then we try to track how these projects are affecting other projects in the company. So how are we expanding the business models of current projects that we have through the activities from Connectory? So that's also a very important KPI for us.
Okay, so coming to the last 5 minutes, here we have a big question for our friend here, João, as well, of what we can see as a possible output and expectations of this proximity of all connector locations, also this local connection with entrepreneurs, startup owners, and what do we expect from it? So making also the last 5 minutes for us, I would like to give each connector to make a final statement of what do we expect for the future and from our network, and also this international connection that we have between us and also between startups, ideas, and ecosystems.
Okay, so just starting, what we see as mentioned, so we are in Mexico, we are the emerging country. What we see and what we foster is to share and to export more of the entrepreneurs, Mexican entrepreneurs, to the different locations and to the different other countries. Also to because those solutions in emerging markets sometimes has a better fit market in the other countries as well. Increase the soft landing of those startups that are based on those different other countries, and make this soft landing for an emerging market, and also share and experiences and open the doors for their entrance to these new markets. We connect. This is the power of having a great company like Bosch behind that, having also these different locations worldwide. And this is something that we look forward to really increase and strengthen our value proposition. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Alberto. So moving from Guadalajara, who wants to be the next?
I can go next from Stuttgart. So I would love to see the connectories coming closer together, because I think the different cultures and the different mindsets that really enable innovation, right? So this is how we can benefit all, bringing maybe startups from one connectory for a period of time to another location in an existing ecosystem that we have established with the connectories. So I think this is a great opportunity. And for us as Stuttgart Connectory, I think being close to the headquarter, it's always important to stress the importance of open innovation and really stress that working with partners and especially startups is beneficial. And I hope we can continue on this path.
Thank you, Stefan. So now we have Guadalajara, Stuttgart. Who wants to be the next?
So I can add to that. So I like the question very much, Joao. So thanks for that. And I think we've already started doing this, but we will certainly do more of it, which is to use and leverage this global network as a way to scale and as a way to make sure and that the solutions that are being developed, the innovations, are actually relevant for a broader audience. And in London, we are co-innovating and creating mobility solutions for the future. London is a representative megacity, but obviously we want to work together with the other locations and use and leverage the other communities there to make sure that we can, if we are successful with an innovation, scale globally.
Very nice, Walter. So moving next, we still have 3 connectors.
Yeah. I also agree with what the other colleagues said, and you all can expect that many other events like this will happen, and we'll make sure that we, in fact, as they said, make it global, and then we can try to make it available for all regions as much as we can. And of course, keep strengthening our networks and making it possible for startups from different locations around the world to access different markets that would otherwise have very difficult for them. And at the same time, also changing the way Bosch works with innovation. So thank you very much for the opportunity, everybody, and hope to keep contact with all of you.
Thank you, Marco, talking also from Curitiba. Now from our 2, also one big guest from Chicago, and also the one all around the world there on China. We have the 2 last ones, Chicago and Shanghai.
Well, I am super excited about this, especially like you guys saw us, we're 3 years in, and we were the first one, but having all the other connectories, seeing how they're growing, and now we're all like established in our ecosystems. I'm very excited how we can really like co-innovate among the different connectories now and cross-connect with that. So I'm very much looking for that. Forward to that. We have seen great examples of it. Let's say like around the construction tech topic, we now all can call each other up and say, hey, what's going on in your ecosystem? This is happening here. And seeing this like taking fruit and flourishing is very exciting to me. And another thing, if you ask me vision-wise, I'm looking into, especially with COVID now, I truly believe there's a big opportunity for us to do more in like a virtual membership aspect, and that also among the different connectory locations and offering potential partners and members that far spread is very exciting to me. So for Chicago itself, here we're always talking about there's the coast, you can go to New York or San Francisco, or you come to Chicago where you can really do some B2B business, and that's what we're driving.
Very nice, Sue. And last but not least, once again, Andrew from China. Is Andrew on the line?
It's too late already.
Yeah, maybe it's still late.
Yeah.
So also from Shanghai, of course. Hello, Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I had a connection problem. Yeah, so from my side, as already mentioned, I also, as everybody see, each connection location is already deep rooted in the local ecosystem and have very well connected with the partners. And I think it is our common wish that we can have more and more sharing exchange among different connection locations. And I think this type of event is a perfect way that we are connected and we can share our learnings and grow together. Another wish is also, I already observe a lot of success stories when Bosch co-create with external startups. I think the startup has their strengths. They're very agile. They move very fast and they're very close to the market. And Bosch has our strengths. You know, we are well established. We have a lot of resource connections and channels. If we jointly work together to reach a win-win success, I think this is the most desired results that we could all together generate from the Connectory network.
Very nice. So I'd like to thank you all. I can see that we still have many participants on the line. Thank you very much for taking part of this event, and also expect much more events like this one. So that was the first Connectory Global Talks. Actually, we have on the chat, as of course, I saw that the Curitiba Connector shared the websites of all connectors. If you have any doubts, you can find us in the social medias and also send us a message also that we'll try to answer as soon as possible. And stay tuned and check it out, our next events. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the presenters as well, from all connectors, from all time frames that we have, from China to Brazil to US, so different time zones. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a very good week.
Thank you. Thank you, Fernando. Bye-bye.